So margins are only one part of manipulating the layout of a page. You're just bringing those margins in, or you're taking them out, left and right, top and bottom. Now, I want to talk about another technique that we have here called columns. This is pretty prevalent in magazines and newspapers. I want to be able to create columns of content. Let me draw on the screen here for just a moment. Let's imagine that this is my page. This is my Microsoft Word page. Now, right now, all of your content is just kind of fitting right into those margins, whatever your margins are set at. Got a block of text, images, tables, whatever else you got out there. Got all your content in there. Now, what I'd like to do is I want to be able to take all that text content that I placed into my document, and I want to be able to break it up into multiple columns. Perhaps I want 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, whatever. Get away from that one column setup, which you get by default. You do have a single column in there just within those margins. But now I want to be able to create a nice layout with various columns. Now we'll have text that starts up here, right? And then makes its way down that column. If we have a continuation of text beyond that column, we then want it to wrap up into the next column and continue down. This is a really neat technique to be able to create a more dynamic layout of documents. And it's really simple to do though. Take a look. So I can jump into my document. All I need to do is go up to my page layout tab. I'm going to find columns. It's in the same area we found margins in the earlier lecture. So I'd go to columns, and they've got a bunch of presets. Say I want 2 columns. I'm going to go ahead and grab 2. And now I've taken my document, got 3 pages worth of content here, and I've broken it up across 2 columns. If I scroll through, there's my first page. Columns continue down my second page and into my third page. Third page doesn't have enough content to go into that second column. Great, no big deal. It knows to stop, but I've still got my content structured inside of columns. Now, I do have a few other options in there. Remember, this was underneath page layout, and I got columns. If I hop back into there, I do have 1 column, which is default, 2, 3 columns. I can tell it to be smaller on the left or smaller on the right. Let's just try it. I'll say, let's go left. So now I got a nice little smaller column here on the left, got a much larger column on the right, and I can reverse that with the right option. Let's go back to 2. If I get back in there, you also have more columns. If I go into more columns, this opens up a window where you got several other options. So I got the same 1, 2, and 3 and left and right options there. I can also specify how many columns I'd like. Rather than picking from the presets, you do what you like. I can set up a line between the columns. For me personally, I like to do this. Any way that I'm going to help make my document more readable, the better off it's going to be. So I can say line between. I'm going to hit OK. And this is going to apply a line between all of those columns. And it just creates a little more structure, a little more separation between the 2 columns. Me personally, once again, I like that feature. Let me get back in there again. If you do set up your own columns, you can also set up their widths and their spacing. And default, you do get equal column widths, but you can specify that, oh, this column should be narrower than this column over here, and so on. So you get a little more options, a little more flexibility through this window, but you've got just the presets right there inside the column option. So try this out. Add 2 columns, add 3 columns, try messing around with the more column options, add that line, get some more dynamic structure and setup within your pages by using columns.